Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So we have a little bit of bad news. The NFL has suspended 5 players, including Commanders defensive end Shaka Toney, for 1 season because of gambling. So we're going to talk about this real quickly in today's video. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Also hit that like button and that notification bell as well. Those 3 things help out a ton. So this was just totally random this morning. The report came out from Ian Rappaport saying, sources: NFL suspended 5 players, including Lions receiver Jameson Williams, for violations of NFL gambling policy. Lions CJ Moore and Quinn Cephas plus Commander Shaka Toney are suspended indefinitely, at least 1 year. Williams and Detroit Stanley Berryhill are suspended 6 games. So very, very random that 4 Lions players, I guess they're all doing it together, they got suspended, and then Shaka Toney also got suspended. You know, this doesn't impact the Commanders a ton because Shaka Toney wasn't a very, very important player on the team. He was, probably, honestly, not going to make the roster, especially if the Commanders drafted an edge rusher. If you just look at the D-line, they already have a ton of guys that are guaranteed making the roster, and unless he had a great offseason, he probably wasn't going to make the roster. But it's still very disappointing to see a guy do that. I'm sorry, but I don't like saying this about people, but it's just very, very stupid to do. Calvin Ridley, that was also not very smart, but at least that was the first person to do it. After he did it, the amount of scrutiny and backlash he got, and also the amount of attention that situation got for a long time, and even when he came back a little bit, it rehashed a little bit, and people were talking about it, and they still did this. I guess they did this before he got, unsuspended or whatever, but they did this last season, but still very, very idiotic. The rules, and it's not like you're going to make a ton of money. So they're suspended a year, Shaka Toney and CJ Moore and Quinn Cephas. Quinn Cephas and CJ Moore both were released, I believe, by the Lions today because they're suspended for a full year. I'm assuming same thing for Shaka Toney. Shaka Toney's kind of on that same level as those other 2 players. Maybe a little bit higher just because he was drafted a couple years ago, but still. 7th round pick from 2 seasons ago, and he's suspended for a full year. I don't think the Commanders are... If I had to guess, I would say they will release Shaka Toney because, again, not a huge, impact player, and, it's just not a great look to have a guy in your roster that... it's not a terrible look, but I don't think Ron Rivera wants a guy like that would do something that, stupid. Again, the NFL can track this, or maybe he doesn't know, but Calvin really got caught for it. You saw the consequences the NFL gave him. It's going to be the same for you if you do it, and he did it. I'm actually interested to see, why Jameson Williams and that other guy were suspended only 6 games, for if they're both gambling. I don't know how they would get 6 games. That's interesting to me because, Calvin really, I guess maybe it's if you bet on your own games, that's when you get a year. Because Calvin really did bet on his own games, but he bet on his team and he wasn't playing in those games. So that could be something where maybe Shaka Toney bet on the Commanders or he bet in the games that he was playing in. And in that case, that's a huge, no. That's a huge, huge no. So I'm glad it wasn't anyone, super significant. Obviously it sucks that, Shaka Toney did have some potential. A lot of people really liked him when we, drafted him with, 2021 draft. A lot of people thought he had some good potential, and he was, possibly a steal. Was the 7th round pick, 246 overall. So very, very late. First year honestly did show some flashes. Played in 16 games, played, a lot of special team snaps, but had a couple games where he came in and did some good things. Had he had 1.5 sacks in his, I was reading it wrong. 10 games in his rookie year, a sack and a half, and had a good game against the Seahawks. I think that's where he got those sacks, and got some good pressures in other games. In 2022, didn't really do much. Played some games and played a lot of special teams, and then played a few games on defense. Not a ton though. And going into this season, it wasn't really, we really didn't know if he was going to play or not And real quick word from my sponsor. Also guys, huge shout out to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. Once again, they're a sleep mask company that makes amazing sleep masks, a bunch of different types, some that can change the temperature so you can sleep at the temperature that you desire. Also some with, sound systems and speakers so you can listen to what you want, when you're going to bed, and something to wake you up. And I've been using one for the last couple weeks and it's been really, really helpful for me, and I've gotten some great sleep. So make sure you guys check them out and use code HTTC for 10% off. And going back to some of the other players that were suspended, Jameson Williams, a lot of people wanted us to draft him last year. Well, we traded back, draft Jahan Dotson, and, not only did he have a good rookie year, but Jameson Williams, took a while to come back from his ACL injury. And honestly, when he was on the field, he looked pretty good, but suspended for 6 games for this next year. So looks like we made the right pick. We'll see. Could, Jameson Williams could turn out to be a superstar, but so could Jahan Dotson. I think Jahan Dotson has a lot of potential and can be a number 1 receiver in this league. I think same thing with Jameson Williams, but not a good look when you're suspended, into your second year and you really haven't played at all. So, it is what it is with this situation. I'm happy it wasn't a, significant player for the Commanders. It shouldn't have happened at all. Like, I don't want any of our players to be suspended, especially for a year. But if it was someone like Brian Robinson, Jahan Dotson, any of those guys, I would not be happy at all. And it would have been a really big blow for the Commanders. So I think that's going to do it for today's video. Not that, best news for the Commanders, but again, not the end of the world. A rotational depth piece that probably wasn't even going to make the roster this year, and I'm assuming he will get released in the next few days. We're less than a week from the draft. Very, very, very excited for that. Have no idea what they're going to do at 16 or if they trade back, so going to be very interesting. Might be streaming today, so make sure you guys check that out. Peace.